what happened last season? Like, did we all get kicked offline, or does it just come up as an option?
It just comes up as an option.
You get the little
right.
splash.
There
Oh, there it is! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Oh
Go,
my
go,
god!
go. Woo, woo, woo.
All right, making Buffy, hardcore seasonal female crusader. So excited!
I almost forgot to click hardcore.
Uh-oh. So excited!
All
Let me
right.
change adventure mode, hard. Everyone's got their level 1. Good to go.
Good to go.
Yeah. Let's go. World first.
Let's do it.
NA's best. All right, everybody. Welcome to Westmarch Workshop, episode 38.5, season 2 hype. We are going to be stealing weapons from our peeps here. I'm going to go with the dagger from our followers because it makes us extra powerful. Usually like to go left to right on the bounties on the map, like clockwise, starting at the top left. Alright.
Already level 2. Yeah.
Easy.
Almost there. Almost there. 68 more to go.
Alright. What are we... Oh, we're just looking for the dude. Okay. Wait, who got level 3 already? Oh, level 2. Wait, who's behind?
I am.
Oh.
Ah, slowing us down. Slowing us down.
Min-max. Alright, guys, restart the season.
You're killing me, Smalls. Killing me.
I think we'll be okay.
We have slash now. Love slash.
We might.
Oh yeah, we can do this one in the middle. You like this one, right, Nineball?
Yep.
So yeah, so we're just doing kind of a playthrough here. We're gonna talk for about 2 hours or so. Do some tavern talk recap. Do some talking about plans and goals for the season. And yeah, just keep it really informal, really fun. Just kind of something to celebrate the beginning of this long-awaited, long-overdue Season 2. So without further ado, Nineball, how are you? How was your week in gaming?
My week in gaming was pretty good. I actually not really played much of Diablo at all since the last podcast. Just kind of saving all of that energy for the season here tonight. But I am here and I am ready.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. The hype is real.
Yep.
Next up, I will go ladies first of our special guest that we have tonight. We actually have 2 members of the BlizzPro clan and frequent emailers and listeners of the Westmarch Workshop. And this is something that we're testing out. So if you guys like it, definitely send us some feedback. And we'll probably do some more gameplay sessions and whatnot with listeners and viewers and all that. But first up, we have Lala. How are you doing? How's your week in gaming?
Well, I originally meant to try to get my Crusader, my hardcore Crusader, in between seasons. I want to get a Blade Prophecy.
That Blade of
I got
Prophecy.
a Furnace.
You got a Furnace, but not a Blade?
Yes.
And
then I kind of was like, well, I got the concept. I didn't get quite to 100% uptime on ACRATs. I'm at like 0.39 seconds downtime. Then I played some Heroes, which I hadn't played yet.
Nice. You and Nineball can reminisce on that a little bit.
I didn't play much, and I didn't play in actual community modes.
So what are the different modes over there?
I only played practice.
Okay, is that just against bots?
Yeah, with bots against bots.
Yeah. I primarily do just the quick match. I've never done the hero, the ranked league. I just do the quick matches.
Gotcha. Word. And then our final but not least most guest, we have Thibbledorf, who's of fame from a few episodes ago. If you guys will remember, we actually mentioned that he got a highlight for his Witch Doctor build that Novelistus picked up for the Theorycraft Thursday. So, Mr. Thibbledorf, how are you? How was your week in gaming?
Howdy, sir. It went pretty well. Played some Diablo 3. Also played, am I allowed to mention a non-Blizzard game?
No, not allowed. But...
Even if it's an action RPG?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, then I'm really not
where this is going.
I do play some with friends. I play Marvel Heroes. which again is made by I believe the people that made Diablo 2.
Yeah,
or at least some of the people. Yeah. So played some of that. Had some fun. I've been messing around mainly with my wizard in preparation for coming in here, as well as witch doctor, because I just can't keep my fingers off the witch doctor. It's just a cool class. Throwing spiders, hands down, coolest skill in any game ever. Even better than bees shooting out of your hands in whatever game that was.
Bees.
Why's it gotta be bees? I don't know, man. I think I'm partial to the large toad. I think this thing is sweet.
That is pretty cool.
I think one of my favorites has to be just the corpse explosion. Where of course not corpse explosion, but the acid cloud rune.
I was gonna ask, when did the witch doctor get that necro skill?
It pops the corpse up out of the ground and it just explodes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
not corpse explosion, but an exploding corpse.
Totally different.
Completely different.
Someone's monk already died. Oh no.
Oh
no. Oh man.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Your deeds will be remembered. We're laughing with you, not at you, even though you're probably not laughing.
Well,
there
you might be. I'm laughing
at So mean. So mean.
I never claimed to be nice.
That's true. It's not a false misrepresentation. Word. So yeah, so my weekend gaming was spent mostly...
Nobody asked you.
Oh, okay. Alright, so did you guys watch a tavern talk?
So Steven, how was your week?
Oh, hey, thanks for asking. I was wondering if anyone would. So, you know, it was fun. It was fine. Oh, we did the bounty already. I guess we can just clear an area and then get out of here. I was spent most of the time still chasing the white whale that is an ancient blade of prophecy.
But not the dragon.
But not the dragon, no. Stayed away from the dragon for now. Maybe later on in the stream. You know, it is an informal stream, so... Alright, let's go Old Ruins. Yeah, I mean, I still wanted to keep sharp, play a little bit, but I actually didn't want to play too much, so I didn't play... I think I did like one rift last night, and that was the extent of playing Diablo, and I think I didn't play on Wednesday, or maybe a little bit earlier this week. But over the weekend, I definitely played quite a bit, still trying to track that thing down. But hey, on to Seasons, and hopefully I can find it here instead.
Yeah?
Paula, you okay?
I'm hoping I'm still alive.
Uh-oh, did you DC?
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Still alive on our screen.
That's always a good sign.
Yep, your health isn't moving.
Well, there was nothing around when I was leaving.
Sorry, I don't like it when people in my party die. Makes me very antsy.
It makes me feel bad. I think I was a part of 2 people dying in Seasons last season. Wow. But I mean it was ridiculous because I very rarely teamed up with other people. So of the few times that I did, people died. I was just like, why is this my fate? I feel bad. Should we do it or should we wait? I guess you can still get the bounty bag, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I guess we'll keep going. You can banner on any one of us once you get in.
Works for me.
I'll stand back far enough so you don't go right into it.
WB.
Indeed, welcome back. I'm being told in chat that Archon just went live on stream. What is this?
What is the world coming
Blasphemy! Oh man, I guess he's doing a little special stream for the start of the season as well.
Yeah, Mikey was saying in chat that he was coming back to play the season.
Nice.
Cool.
It's good to hear. We'll have to link up with him again at some point.
Alright guys, we got halfway there. Living on a prayer.
Alright. These guys are doing some damage to me over here. Oh yeah, we're past level 6. We can go and see if we can get rings. Got some gold. I guess the next after we finish the bounties or whatever, we can check.
Yeah, just do it at the end of it.
Nice. Oh, I got a better weapon. Off to the cathedral. Oh, nice, a cursed one. Let's see. People are talking about... Oh, he died to lag. Oh, I'm sorry, man. The monk who died is in chats. Sad times.
Oh.
It's such a way to start off a season too, you know? It's like if you're going through and you're lagging and it's like, well, is it worth it for me to keep playing for tonight? You know?
You did lose a lot of progress, so...
Yeah. All 3 minutes and 45 seconds of it.
So we were talking before we started up the stream, and we were discussing if there were news items that we wanted to talk about, and the only significant thing that occurred this past week really was the tavern talk on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And that...
Band.
What was that?
In the bands.
The band? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Botting wave bands went down, and some people moved up in their leaderboard rankings from not only the second era, but also back in Season 1, which is kind of cool. We were talking about that a little bit in Dread Scythe, by the way, did a round table last night, which is going to be hilariously entertaining when it gets released to the public.
Yeah, and just a slight bit salty.
Just a tiny bit.
Yeah, that wound its way into my vocabulary today.
Throwing salt everywhere?
Yeah, just that term just got used so much last night. Couldn't help.
You know we need that up here in Boston with all this snow, so try to keep it to a minimum.
As was the joke that was made at the beginning of the evening.
Indeed. Although I find it funnier now than I did then. Maybe just because it's further removed. But there will be lots of snow this weekend, which is fine since I will be inside playing this thing.
This thing called Diablo.
This thing called Diablo. Oh, nice. Level 10 already. It's going pretty quickly. What was I going to say? So I was going to say, yes, there was the botting waves that Lala brought up, and also the tavern talk, and that featured Travis Day, Wyatt Cheng, and Don Vu, the ever effervescent Don Vu. Love that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it covered mostly just seasonal stuff, talking about a retrospective on Season 1, some upcoming stuff for this season that we're now currently in, and also just things to look forward to in the future. So kind of just going around, were there any main things that you guys saw that you thought were, or heard, that you thought were interesting or worth commenting on?
One of the things that I actually wanted to go and comment on is just the fact that, you know, Don Vu managed to get rank 100 on, was it 3 or 4 separate classes leaderboards at the end of the season?
I think he said 3. He was top 100. That's insane. Yeah,
and it's like, I love the fact that we have that as just kind of like a benchmark, just because, you know, one of the favorite things that trolls on the internet and forums love to say is, oh, well, they don't play their own game,
right.
You know? And yet you have someone here that, in fact, does, and does so quite hardcore. And I don't think they mentioned, you know, how John Yang did, but he's another one that, you know, he's got a geared, you know, level 70 of every single class, and I mean geared,
like
and
well geared, yeah.
Not just softcore, but hardcore too. He's got a lot of hardcore characters.
Yeah, that guy. You want to talk about devs playing the game? That guy plays the game.
Mm-hmm.
But that was really cool to hear. Just the fact that you know they're like us. They're out here chasing their goals and benchmarks and following through on it too.
Shall we get the goblin?
Yes, it'll be right there. Oh, it's nice and contained too. Thibbledorf, is there anything from the tavern talk that you found to be interesting or intriguing?
Actually, I took, believe this or not, I took about a page worth of notes.
Oh, wow.
So there's lots of stuff I'd like to talk about.
All right, hit us.
Actually, one thing I wanted to talk about first, it was like one of the last things I talked about was the trading. And I am totally on board with the devs. on this one. I know that's probably not a popular opinion, but I think what we have at the moment where we can trade with each other as long as we're in the same rift, I think that's cool, and that kind of gives you the connection to the person next to you. I think that's awesome. Whereas if I could just, oh yeah, this person who I've never met before, here you go, here's this thing. I don't know. To me, it just does. It has that disconnect. Whereas Diablo always felt like more of a, I don't want to say family game, but more of a family atmosphere where it's a community effort rather than more individualized. Yeah.
And I think they also made that point too, where like, you know, it was about not having you know, just straight, like kind of similar to what you're saying, but like having the clan have some importance too, and that being, you know, kind of a way to implement some of those social features and keep things like that inside of the game. So I kind of get that feeling too, because like I don't know, I've been saying on and off again that I really do take pride when I see someone in the clan like reach a new higher rank for greater rifts, or even just achieve like a goal that they set out to do. Like even some of the achievement boards and things like that, you know, maybe not paid as much attention to as the regular class leaderboards, but you know, there are people. I think even Lala was really high up there on that one too, early in the season, and then Shepard and it's gonna kill me for forgetting who the other person was. Barbecue. Were both like constantly just trying to do more and more achievements and complaining about how hard some of them were. It was just cool to see like another side of it, you know, as part of the clan.
Well,
definitely, I think Shepard got number 50 on the achievement leaderboards.
Dude, that's legit.
Nice.
That is actually super legit. Yeah, so I definitely agree with that. I think that the trading thing, like, there will always be people on both sides, you know?
Sure.
So what else did you have from that, or did you want to save some of the other stuff for later?
I think, yeah, wait, why don't we go around if there are the things that people want to talk about or whatever?
All right, Lala, what was your main takeaway from the whole thing?
I liked the fact that they said that they're planning on Season 2 being shorter than Season 1. I don't like how they didn't actually say how much shorter. I mean, it could be a week shorter.
Yeah, they didn't want to commit to a time on that one.
Well, I think it's for a legit reason, though. Right.
Well, I guess, like, because they were talking about how it's going to sync up with dev patch.
Yeah, I understand the reasoning. I just
didn't like it.
So, like, some kind of, you know, even if it's just a guesstimate, but then you run into the problem where people expect them to be 100%.
With exactly what they say or set out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I think, you know, while the game itself is still evolving and they're still doing content for it, we're just going to have varying length seasons because it's going to be tied to patches. And it's not going to be at a point until, you know, like Diablo 2, where the game is pretty much, it's done, quote unquote, and they don't really have anything else new to add before we see, you know, just set.
Standardized.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. And I think that, that's something that's kind of hard to see in the community because you have the example of D2 and, you know, not everyone is thinking, oh yeah, like that doesn't change really anymore, you know? Like there are no major changes going into that game, so of course they can have their set seasons every season.
Yeah.
And so when you see that and you're just like, well, why can't D3 be like D2? I don't get it. It's just not at the same, like, length of time. In terms of...
It hurts! It hurts!
No, it doesn't hurt.
It will if you stand in that.
Oh, it did hurt a little bit, actually.
It's just the guy in plate mail.
With a shield.
No, I think that the length of the season... I totally get where they're coming from now, and I don't actually mind the longer season.
I don't actually mind the longer season either. I just wish I knew how long it was.
Yeah, I think that's probably people could better accept, you know, a 5 or 6 month long season if they knew it was going to be a 5 or a 6 month long season.
Right, because you would know what you were getting into right from the get-go.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm willing to agree with that logic, but I personally just would not like long seasons. I feel like 3 to 4 months, get in, get out, play the crap out of it, like, feels good. Because then you also have the potential to skip a season and not feel like you're out of the game for that long.
Okay.
Because if it's just a 3-month wait, then you're like, all right, like I can go and do like something else for 3 months, or you know, even if you do just kind of do half of a season or something. I don't know. It's just there's that feeling of like everyone's doing it, so then you're missing out. But if you're missing out for a longer period of time, then I don't know. It might feel less bad. But that's just me.
No, that's fair. And I do think it would behoove them to give us an actual time frame. But then again, you know, since it's based on their development schedule, they don't want to
lock themselves in.
Say something, yeah, that they'll have to change and regret. Blizzard is very adverse to that, and I don't think that's a bad thing. But I think they could be less adverse to that and still be okay.
I feel like unless the community like changes its tone when stuff doesn't happen on schedule, I feel like they kind of have the past results of seeing why it's, you know, a little bit better to have some candor or to have some discretion when they release stuff, or they say they're going to release stuff, because there's been so much. I mean, think about the PvP thing. I mean, obviously that's something that's the greatest example of not delivering on a promise, and they still get raked over the coals for it.
What? It's coming in 1.1.
Yeah, it still is. It's still coming in 1.1.
Hashtag live the dream. Having played another modern action RPG, I will go on record as saying I hope they never implement PvP.
Wow,
too much of a time sink, too much of a just hot mess at the end of the day, because you can't keep everybody happy unless everything's perfectly balanced. That takes tons of time and energy. I would rather them put that time and energy into making new items, making new sets, you know, giving more options, rather than, oh hey, now I can go beat up my friend for 10 minutes. That was fun.
If that, yeah. And I just think like they have better PvP games if you want to play. I think it's getting to the point where like every game doesn't offer everything, you know? Like there's some PvE type stuff in Heroes, but that's not the point of Heroes, you know? Yeah. And so it's like, if you want a PvP game, then you go play that. It has Diablo characters in it, you know? They're not your characters per se, but if you want to like live that fantasy, then there's an area for that. And I don't know, some people think that that's kind of the reason why they ended up not doing PvP, because like Heroes was coming. I don't know how much I want to believe that, but
I don't really believe that too much, because I mean at the time it was just going to be a StarCraft 2 arcade, you know?
Yeah, it wasn't gonna be like a full-fledged game, right?
No.
So I don't know. I got my horsey back.
Well, aren't you special?
Oh yeah. Gonna be running away from you guys for all of 2 seconds. But in terms of the tavern talk, I felt like it was a little, not to be like the negative Nancy or the salty one or whatever.
Here it comes.
Here it comes, right? But I just felt like it was a lot of lip service. Like things are like, yeah, that's interesting.
I mentioned that, you know, before on one of the shows. It's like I didn't. Yeah, as I didn't expect it, because it's too early for them to start talking about anything with patch 2.2.
You were right. And again, I never want to believe you being right, because I'm like, oh, they're gonna just like unveil the whole lot. Like, why wouldn't they? That's the cool thing to do. And then you're always right, and then you crush my dreams.
Well, we both hope that my thoughts on when season 2 is actually going to end are both wrong.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
This guy thinks it's going to be a 6-month season, which is longer than the first season.
Yep.
Well, when they did mention the length a couple of times, 6 did come up as the high end on almost every time somebody said how long a season could be.
Yeah, it's just with how much they have to do for patch 2.2. It's just, that's my thought. I'd love to be wrong. Trust me, I want to be wrong.
I guess we'll see. I mean, as long as they start their PTR for that on time, then I feel like it will be delivered in a timely fashion. Like, how much more do you honestly believe that they have to do for it? It's a lot of sets. I feel like a lot of, maybe, I don't know how far along they are on the reworking of the classic sets. But
yeah, I mean, it sounds like they're still in the process of reworking the
Ooh, legendary.
Ooh, legendary.
What? Which one?
Ooh, piece candy.
Ooh, piece candy.
Ooh, piece candy. I mean, they're still going through and working on the class sets that they showed off at BlizzCon, so.
Yeah, I guess that's true. She got a scrimshaw. Not too shabby. Some pretty serious deeps.
Yeah. I went up to 53 damage. 53.7.
Oh man, you're doubled over me. Carry the group.
Yeah.
I just need to get a socket now.
Do you have gems?
No. Man can dream.
True. Dream away. Dream on. But without being salty, I still think that it was a good talk. I was surprised at how long it went, actually. I thought it was just going to be another, hour and a half, and Nev just kept pulling questions, more and more questions. Although it seemed like when they got to the Twitch question part, it was a lot of like stuff that they had already answered that they were pulling.
Yeah, that was one of the problems. But then again, pretty much everything they talked about, they answered somewhere else in the last couple months. So
that's true. Let's see, Thib, with your list of notes over there.
Yeah. So on the quality of life things that they talked about, the upgrade of the blood shards and the pickup of the crafting mats.
Oh boy.
So somebody suggested, and I don't remember who it was, so sorry for not giving you proper credit, but somebody suggested like that you could have an increased 2 blood shards by not removing the cap, but by increasing it via some kind of prestige. So maybe you spend, I don't know, 100 gems, 10 million gold, and 10 forgotten souls to get like 100 extra blood shard cap.
Mm-hmm. Raise it up.
Yeah, just something so that they don't want to. I get what they're talking about removing the feedback loop where you're not getting the reward for what you've done, and that actually makes sense. So okay, but let us not indefinitely do it, but let us pull it back further. Because for me, the only reason actually I want more blood shard caps is because it feels bad when I'm buying a two-handed weapon.
Yes.
Because you get to buy 3, 4, and that's just not. That sucks.
It's not satisfying, especially when like 3 of them are blue and 1 is yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the other ones, you kind of get the sense like, okay, if I save up enough, I'm gonna get something. It may not be awesome, but I'll get something. But with two-handers, you kind of just throw in 75 shards away every time.
I don't disagree with that. Yeah, and I think when this is a point that I was kind of making previously, but when they raised the the cost for it, you know, the reasoning behind that was, well, we don't want you to have to go back and forth between Kadala and the blacksmith.
So
and,
far.
Yeah, all like 4 feet of that travel distance to sell and then salvage and then keep gambling and resalvage, etc., etc. Oh, I have a mad stone here. I don't know if that's useful for you. Or whatever it's called. Spirit stone. And so it's like, whatever, okay, I get that, fine, that can be a reason, even though it's a crappy one. But I think at that point, they still should have raised the cap, even if it wasn't going to match 1-to-1, so that you still just end up buying the same amount, you know, and having the same problem. But just raise it maybe halfway there. So instead of 500 to 1,000, 750. So that way you're buying 10 two-handers, you know?
There was actually a forum post today saying they were thinking about doing 750 or 1,000, but probably not any higher than that.
There was a blue,
I think that's fair.
A blue post?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that. That would be fair.
7 hours ago or so.
Ah, well, there you go. I was busy buying energy drinks, I think. Oh, I see your scrimshaw, and I match you a scrimshaw.
Ooh.
I see your scrimshaw and match you as Weehander.
Oh, two-hander.
Zweihander.
That too. Hey, listen, I don't speak any of that Sprechen Sie whatever.
Sprechen Sie whatever.
Brand new language. But that's cool, though. If they're actively considering it, maybe we actually will finally see a raise to the captain. But I know that's been... I think it's just kind of crazy when it's one of those things that unanimously is rubbing everyone the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope that when and if they do it, they don't... They make it so that it's 500 to start, and then it's tied to level 70 achievements or Paragon or something. Just because the more you have saved up when the season ends, the better. By the time you get to 70 in a new season, the better off you're going to be. So then it's going to be something where you never spend them before 70.
I see what you're saying. That is definitely an interesting problem I hadn't really thought of. Yeah.
It was in my book.
You know, I don't remember everything that was in that book, that's for sure. But this is true.
That is why you're a terrible person. I remembered.
Oh, please, 9-ball. Don't forget to check for your rings down here.
And I think I just... Nope. I was just about to say, I'm getting disconnected. No, I just clicked on something in chat.
Oh. I hate when that happens. No good rings on this guy. Or amulets.
I got one in the bag.
I'm gonna go to Act 3 real quick to check on the rings as well. I'll let you guys know if there's any good ones over there.
I apparently found a 17 strength ring at some point.
Oh. Can I have that?
Sure.
There's a 31 dex amulet for 2,000 plus gold at the Act 3 dude. I'll come back to Act 1, maybe. What else? Level 12. I'll put my wings on too, so I can cosplay like a pro.
Cosplay is where it's at.
Shoot. So let's see. What else? What else? What was the other part? You said the blood shard cap and something else too?
The crafting mats, automatically picking up crafting mats. He said an interesting thing, that they don't want to disconnect you from how much you're picking up. And like when you pick up gold and when you pick up other things, you automatically pick up. Well, they changed that when they started doing the what was it, the vault. They now have that little counter that's in the bottom right-hand corner. I don't understand why they couldn't just implement that for the mats as well. Like you don't want us to not understand what we're picking up and see what we're getting. Well, then give us a little pop-up over here to the right. The people who, want to know how many it is and want to see and have that connection can have it, and then you don't have to walk around and pick up everything, and perhaps even make it an optional thing where you can turn it off or on. But I think some of their thought processes as far as what they want for feedback, as far as like the, I guess, emotional feedback from the player, is very interesting to me.
Yeah,
I never really consider it.
Yeah, I feel like I don't think about those things when I play. Like maybe that's just a certain type of player, so we're not that type of player. But I don't know. I feel like I do notice at times when I have auto pickup on the stupid health potions, and I wish I didn't. You know, I don't feel like there's feedback lost there because it annoys me all the time when it happens.
You mean you don't like the gold per potion you get?
Oh yeah, you know, that's my main source of income. So let me just go ahead and totally seek every single one of those out. The reasons provided, I agree, are definitely kind of sketchy at best. But I feel I don't know. I feel like we want to and should believe them when they tell us the things that they tell us. But sometimes I feel like maybe there's like more going on, and it could just be that it's easier to say that than like the technical limitation behind it or something.
Well, they did that a couple of times where they're like, oh, we don't need to get into that. Like, well, actually, this would have been a really interesting talk if it would have been actually a dev talk where you say, okay, here was the problem. This wasn't connecting to this, and even if you lose us along the way, at least we get the story.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to what Nineball was saying about just having that. The more information that we have, the better we feel about either accepting the decisions or thinking up different ways to, I don't know, like change or provide feedback on the changes or whatever. It just gives us more to work with. And I think that kind of plays into the whole emotional thing too, because once you understand the way something works, then you kind of have a different connection to it. So
what do you guys think about the new gems? How much play do you think they're gonna get? Which ones do you like? What don't you like?
I like the XP one.
Yeah, the XP one is gonna see some use. The other one's not so much.
I feel that way as well.
As far as defense, I like the Taguk, however you pronounce that.
Yeah.
You know, the offense and defense.
Yep, that is another favorite one, just because it provides both. You know, if they want to make defensive gyms, they have to make defensive gyms that give you some sort of offensive capability, because
Unless
you can.
It's as good as a Unity, so that you can then trade out your Unity for a better offense ring.
But then at that point, someone's just going to wear a Unity and use the ring.
Yeah, which is why it won't happen.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could see where you might trade out one of your 3 gem spots for a purely defense one.
Yeah, because at that point though, you'd have to get a ring. Well, I guess there is like a SOJ would give you what you need as far as the offensive capability to match.
And then socket it with the defensive gem.
Yeah.
I actually think that there are some possibilities with the regen. There's some pants that turn your regen into an
aura.
Piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Death's
but then you have no regen.
Yep.
Well, you'd have no regen, but that doesn't mean you don't have LPH.
Yeah, but regen goes no matter what's going on. If you get CC'd or something, like life per hit does nothing for you.
I guess we're all going inside except for Leviathan and I.
Just gonna take tag team this out here.
I started blinking, so I thought everybody went inside.
Yeah, it's where you guys are paying attention to what the bounty is.
No,
right?
but listen, we're fighting elites out here, okay? You do realize the point is to get experience.
Fighting elites in here.
I saw someone go in. I figured they were following them.
Oh my goodness. That's alright, we'll just, take them down.
We fought elites in here, so...
Our elites were cooler, though.
True story.
Oh yeah, your burrowing leapers were so much cooler than our burrowing leapers. Well, news for you, you just went and fought a burrowing leaper in the field. We fought it in a deep, dark, dank cave.
Does that make you feel good?
Yes.
All
Yes, it
well,
does.
Well, I won't take that away from you then.
I think that the gems will have some good effects for those classes that are generally built glass cannon. That they can still build the way they need to for that, and yet when they don't have good gem choices, they can put in those other gems.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've seen some builds where I'm like, why is this gem even in this build? It doesn't make any sense.
Right, it's just
They
like a
just kind
filler.
of put it in there. Yeah. In those cases, I think that would be a great reason to use one of those defensive gems.
And I think that's also a great point, because I think when you also look at some of the other builds that got popular with the groups for the greater rifts, when you have those ZDPS builds, like those are gems that are going to do really well for ZDPS because it's just pure defense, you know, and that's a big part of them. They just want to stay alive.
It's going to be great for boring builds. I'm sure that's what they were going for.
Wait.
So, you don't have a background in sales, do you?
You missed the positive spin there. It was totally positive.
Yeah, totes.
Totes my goats. I don't know. I still hold out a little hope that maybe early in this season we'll see a bit of use for them. I mean, it really...
Yeah, I can see it as a starter gem.
Yeah, it's just like a placeholder until you get your Unity or something, you know? And you want to do greater rifts before you get it.
So, like, your first hour...
You really think you're gonna get... Oh, you just jinxed yourself.
Not so much a Unity, you know, in the first hour, but, you know, it's like... Is that going to take a place over one of the other gyms before you get the Unity? I don't think so, because it's not that powerful.
No, and I get that.
Because you're not going to be doing... You're not going to attempt to push the Greater Rift while waiting for a Unity. You're going to get the Unity before you start pushing.
True, right? But I also think...
and it's the only time that it's going to be, you know, used as like a filler while waiting for another one is... You know, because this is like the second Greater Rift that you've ever run, you know, and you happen to get that gem.
I don't know. You might see some people like trying to push up to 25 in order to get one of their other more offensively oriented gems up to that 25 to unlock that second part. So then it'll be
the other
I still think that if you haven't gotten your Unity yet, that's all you're going to be focused on is going for the Unity, and for that you're just going to be running T6.
Right, but you could make your T6 runs faster by leveling up your other gems, and if your sketchiness in T6 exists because you don't have the Unity, then you might be using the defensive gems.
I still think that you're stretching it a little bit.
I don't disagree.
If you're that far undergeared, you're probably better doing T4 because you're probably doing it faster. So even with a lesser legendary drop rate, you're getting more per hour.
That's true.
It just there's really very little that would make people actually want to take the defensive gem over, you know, one of the ones even just going through and using something like, you know, a Taiguk on like a Crusader or something, you know.
So, yeah, no, I definitely. At the end of the day, I definitely agree. Just trying to play a devil's advocate, but it's a really hard position to defend.
I can see it having some play. People will put it in, see how it works.
Treasure Goblin.
Do a couple rifts till they get some other gear before they put in something better. But I don't see it lasting past the first week or two.
Well, as a former ZDPS tank monk, I would tell you that I would have killed for any of those gems last season.
See? Well, there you go. I really do think they're going to find their home in ZDPS. Whether you think those builds are boring or not is up to your discretion.
I don't mind support roles, I just hate support roles.
Well said. Well said.
Ah, yes.
I'm wondering if you guys think that there are a lot of goblins. Are you guys noticing that?
Yeah.
I feel like there are a lot.
And that's without the buff.
Right? Oh, that's something I wanted to touch on too. Just kind of, I guess I'll save that for after this quick point. But I was wondering if you guys think that we'll see people playing more than one class this season just because the Gem of Ease with the awesome quick leveling will exist.
I would not be surprised. I would definitely not be surprised. So that will give people that, you know, like have that urge to go through and, you know, level up a whole bunch of alts to allow them to have the kind of like the excuse to do it if they didn't before already.
Mhm.
I might attempt another wizard. I've been getting close to the 70 wizard on hardcore. Got to 67 the first time, 68 and half the second time. So
Oh, it's so
should only be
painful.
one try, right?
Well, with a 4,000 DPS two-hander, you know, just throw that Gem of Ease in there, should hopefully be able to get to 70.
Well, by the time you get to 67 or 68, it's not quite as OP as it was at, you know, level 40.
Yes, that's true. As long as nothing hits you, you're totally fine.
Well, it's having nothing hit me that I have a problem with.
That's what I've been doing wrong all this time.
Don't let them take your hit points. Come
what
on,
was that
guys.
pro tip from a month or so ago? Don't let
die.
your health get to 0.
Yes, yeah.
Pro tip.
Pro tip: best way to play hardcore, don't die.
True story. Oh, so the other thing was, are you guys surprised that there's no buff to start this season? No community buff or anything like that?
I think having the community buff kind of skewed what a season would look like, you know, with the fact that you got twice as much gold.
I agree with that. I think that actually that was something we might have been saying before it started last season was, oh, you know, will this give an accurate representation of what players can attain, you know, in that first day, 2 days? No, just because we're going to have way more gold than we ever thought we would, and people would technically be getting way more chances at getting into the vault than they normally would with the double goblins.
Yep.
So yeah, it'll actually be interesting to see how hampered people will be on crafting and on gold and stuff if, well, not if, now that there is no buff.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. Very curious. I wonder if that, I guess they're probably doing it on purpose, but I was wondering if they did it on purpose or if it was just like, we don't want to this time around. I guess we'll never know. Unless they say at the next Tavern Talk.
One thing I did want to just talk to you guys about was the whole notion of this best gear that everyone continues to talk about. Everyone always says, oh, well, the diversity, well, there's only one top-tier build for this. I think that's going to happen no matter what. To me, I think you're chasing
That
your
was
tail.
another thing in my book.
Oh, well, I didn't even know you had a book, so in my defense.
That's because they didn't share it.
Because it was a book! Alright, next.
You put in the challenge to write a book.
This is true. This is true. And then you met the challenge, and then I was like, I'm ignoring the challenge. Alright, well, I will make it a point to at least mention 1 or 2 points from it going forward.
So let's hear what you had to say.
Okay.
Hit us with it.
Yeah, what you got?
Me?
Now.
Yeah, you.
I think TJ was still going. I was just mentioning the fact that it was in my book for the best gear.
Oh, okay. Well then, TJ, continue your point.
To me, for the people who are going to be concerned about, things like leaderboards and things like bests. There's
Zip,
always
where you
going to be. I'm there. Hold on. Clockwise is a difficult concept. You know.
In this digital age, what is clockwise?
Right.
Yeah, you know. Teleporting on Lala. Those people are always going to run towards the best. I've been in communities before. Like I used to do D&D 3.5. We used to do builds, and I was on the boards doing builds. And
opinion on the Nar Demon Binder.
Here we go.
Don't
Yeah.
Don't do it. That's the path to the dark side, my friend. The same classes kept coming up over and over and over again when you would talk about specific things. And I think that's just inherent to people who want to min-max. If you want to min-max, there's another Gobby top right. If you want to min-max, you're going to gravitate towards those things that are quote-unquote best. And when someone finds what the best thing is, everybody's going to switch to that, even if 10 minutes before everybody was, oh, this other build was the best. Well, within the last 24 hours, then at that point, you've had 2 best builds, except for, you know, now one of them is the current best.
No, I get what you're saying, and I don't disagree. I feel like it's kind of the same thing when they were talking about how they felt about two-handers and one-handers, and how two-handers have definitely gone above and beyond one-handers. So are they going to rework one-handers to become even with two-handers? Like, it's never going to be perfectly even. Like, I think even when they introduce some of these new sets coming in with, you know, the Demon Hunter's multi-shot set or the Barb Whirlwind set, like, if you ask some of the people who are at the top, like, many of them believe, like, Raycore is still going to be the best. Marauder might still be the best. And even though it's new and it's exciting, I feel like people are still going to play what's the best. Like, people are always going to want to look at what will get me to the top if you're going to be that competitive leaderboard person, like you were saying. So I think it's good that they add stuff, because it might give people who aren't so concentrated on climbing to the very, very top options. And I think those are
Not
probably...
just those people, though, because I definitely use the best whatever it is when I'm progressing in Greater Rifts or something. But if I'm just farming T6, I'd rather have fun.
No, that's fair.
So as long as, you know, there's options that are T6 viable, I don't care if it's the most efficient, because if it's most boring, it's not going to be very efficient, because I'm not going to play for that very long.
And yeah, that was going to be my next question. So even if you lose, like, let's say 30 to 45 seconds of efficiency per run, like, to you that would be okay, because you're still having fun playing the alternate build.
I can lose half the time. If I'm having more fun, I'm going to play for longer, so I'm going to be more efficient overall.
I actually used that exact argument when somebody started knocking me in the Play Your Way Thursday. They're like, well, this is a nice T4 build. It's not very effective. I'm like, it's effective for getting me to log in.
Right. Yeah, because it's super ineffective if you're just not playing the game, period, right?
So I think that's... those people will find the builds that they like. It's unfortunate then that they're not going to get them from any streamers, because the streamers are always going to be the competitive ones.
Right, playing in the top
They need
tier.
that.
Yeah. Brent, kind of like branching off of that, or were you done with that point?
No, that's fine. I just wanted to have a conversation about it. I wanted to see what you guys thought.
Okay, no, this will kind of like branch into that, but something that we had been discussing previously too was the fact that a lot of these new powers and the new sets and things, or I kind of gave it away there, but a lot of the new powers and the new things to chase were coming in the form of sets. And some people were saying, well, that kind of sucks, because I would rather build a character where I can use parts from different different legendaries, just standalone legendaries, and be as powerful as, you know, someone who's using a full set. And I think that's probably going to be harder for the devs to design, but it could be more interesting.
It is something that they did mention in the Play Your Way. They like that idea, and it's something that they want to do. But, you know, right now they're just focused on, you know, giving all the classes... I mean, they didn't say this directly, but it's kind of like what I interpreted from it, is they've got a goal to get all of the classes, you know, so that way they each have multiple viable builds, and the easiest way to do that is through sets right now. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to go through, get all the sets done, get everyone with the multiple builds, so everyone can play like these 2 or 3 different variants. Then they'll go back and start reiterating more from there.
I think that was the other thing that kind of bothered me just a little bit, is that everybody was saying, oh, well, you know, there's only one build, Man, we haven't been at this for very long. I know that it seems like we've been in ROS for a long time, but they've only come out with, I don't know, what, 6, 7 patches?
Yeah, it hasn't even been a year of ROS yet.
Yep.
So I mean, you gotta
there,
you gotta cut them a little slack. I mean, no, I think they're doing a great job.
No, I agree. I think that's kind of one of the.
There's only ever going to be one build. There's only ever been one build. There might be two. There might be one that's a solo build and one that's group build. But there's only ever been one build for the best people.
I don't know. Like Crusaders and Witch Doctors, you know, they have some. Well, with you know, Witch Doctors is kind of viable. You know, but the Crusaders have had a bunch of builds that they've been able to play through.
That's true, because before the Condemned Shield came out,
you know, it's one of those ones.
Crusader, they're obviously going to start strong. That's Blizzard's way of doing anything.
Well, no, it's just I think it comes more down to, you know, like what is the definition of best and viable, and I think, you know, people would be happy, you know, at that highest level with something like if you have something within 5% of one another. That's going to be smaller than the variance that RNG with your mob types and rift placements will have on the effect of your run. You know, once it kind of gets down to that level that yes, this one is quote unquote better, but you could just get a bad rift run and the other build will surpass you. You know, once you kind of get within that point, I think that you'll be fine. You know, and that's kind of like what we see with you know, the differences between like Jade and the different variations of pet Witch Doctors, and you know all the different flavors of Crusader we saw this last season.
I think that's valid.
And just, you know, the whole point now is just getting other classes there
to that same point, right?
Yeah.
And then I guess that kind of branches back into what you were saying, where it's going to come via sets first.
The major thing is, well, the Crusaders had a couple different things because their best set allowed them to go in multiple directions, depending on other legendaries they got.
Exactly, and that is, you know, just an example of what they'll be able to do in order to try and make, you know, multiple viable classes that kind of operate within, you know, a certain metric of one another.
Well, I think the Crusaders case is interesting because I've heard them say in the past that they actually didn't want to make another set like a cons because it's not tied to skills, basically. So like they were kind of affirming that we want you to have sets that prioritize certain skills, and then hopefully we'll have, you know, multiple sets that prioritize multiple skills. So eventually you'll get the set that you want to get that uses the skills that you really like. But I think that a con works really well and should maybe be the basis for how they design them going forward, simply because it does
rely on other legendaries, not just the set.
Exactly. It makes the shield actually the most important part of being a Crusader, because it that's kind of what defines your build and what changes it, because it unlocks different skills. It makes different skills better for the Crusader. So obviously if you get your Condemned shield, then Condemn becomes the skill that you're really focusing on. If you get your Phalanx shield, then Phalanx is the skill that you're really focusing on. So that might be... I guess I find it weird when they say they don't want to build more sets like that, but I think that's an awesome way to do it.
Well, the way that they said they don't want to build more sets like a cons is because they don't want to make your Uber skill have no cooldown.
Oh, you mean like active champion?
Yeah. It's they don't want to build a set for Demon Hunters that makes Vengeance permanent. They don't want to build a set for Barbs that makes you know, Wrath permanent. That is what they're referring to.
I gotcha. Okay, I can get down with that. We're cruising right along. Level 22 and just about an hour in.
Not bad at all.
Oh. So how are the peoples of chat doing? Oh, Nineball, you've been how are you multitasking like this?
What?
You're like,
you haven't been?
No. I'm so focused in the game and like trying to think of cool things to say in our conversation here. But apparently you can just do it all. Mr. Awesome.
Spoilers, I applied when I just replied to that once we killed everything from that chest and there wasn't anything left to do.
So that's how you do it.
Yep. I'm sneaky like that.
Nineball's got the hacks.
The hacks. Alright, I'll check rings again just to see. I don't even know if it's that important at this point. Starting to get some gems though.
Uh-huh.
Woohoo.
My weapon has +3 damage.
Ooh.
That's right. There's a +31 dexterity ring down here in Act 1. Check out Act 3. Like the prayer for RNG reset. Yeah, that's Mikey who came up with that. Clever guy. Also known as What101 in the chat, if he's here. Oh man, these rings suck. There's a +52 dex and a 3% cooldown amulet, if you're interested in that. Let's see.
I assume we're gonna restart Act 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna leave the game and then I'll be right back.
Alright. Yeah, this is hardcore, Shadow. We are doing the hardcore climb right now.
Yavol.
Going back in the chat, it's Droth brings up an interesting point where he's saying rather than have the cost or have the blood shard cap go back up, he'd see the cost of weapons, amulets, and rings come down.
That'd be another way of doing it.
Mm-hmm. It's not something I thought of.
But again, that would go right back against what they were doing previously. You know, they made the change to that.
Right. I mean, well, I guess they would lower it to less than what it was, or more than what it was previously, I suppose. So you can, but those also weren't slots where I ever felt like I was spamming it to the point where I had to keep going back and forth, you know? Because they were already so cost prohibitive to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
WB.
You did not miss much.
Only your chance at ancient item. That's all.
That sweet level 22 ancient item.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure I read those can only drop in Torment. So.
Oh, you didn't see they hotfixed that right before the season started.
But you didn't see their blue post 7 hours ago?
I pick and choose my blue posts, you know? If I don't see it, it hasn't happened yet. Oh, man.
Nice.
Let's see. Fib, hit me with another thing from your crazy list.
I think this kind of goes off of what we were talking about a little bit earlier about build diversity, but the ring diversity issue. I know they're trying, and I know they're trying to come up with some cool ideas as to what it could do, but with the current state of the game, I can't think of anything even more a bigger damage buff to a ring that would actually get somebody to take off Unity or Ring of Royal Grandeur, because sets are the big thing now, so that allows you an extra piece to kind of coordinate with.
Mm-hmm.
With Ring of Royal Grandeur, and then Unity allows you to take 50% less damage. You know, getting further on in the Greater Rifts, for most people, I know they scaled back now, so the dynamic may be a little bit different, but, you know, it has just been about how long can you go before you just start getting one-shot by the mobs.
Right.
Well, Unity doubles that.
This is true. And I guess there's the so there's a couple of considerations. Like, you do some witch doctor stuff, so when you have something like the tall man's finger, does that work its way in, or does it eventually get outclassed by those same two rings?
Well, for me, I actually did use it, but didn't use Ring of Royal Grandeur.
Gotcha.
So it was your off-piece, quote-unquote.
Right. So I just didn't, for that pet build, I'm like, well, why do I need this? I don't. So okay.
Right.
I
So
mean,
it doesn't.
you can still go with it and get wear Ogchilds or something like that, which is still fine. But there's no real set for the pets unless you want to go Zunimasas. I didn't like Zunimasas, so that's how it went. And it is a good item.
Mm-hmm. Like it's on the right path in terms of creating options that would help you choose something that's not one of those top tier SOJ, Ring of Royal Grandeur, Unity rings.
Definitely, and I think the power level is sufficient as well. I mean, people were when they came out with it, people were talking about, oh man, my dog was hitting for 100 million. It was blowing my mind. I'm like, wait, 100 million? I barely hit for 1 million.
Right.
So I mean, people were just coming up with some cool combinations to kind of make it work. I think it's on the right path. I don't think it's there. But again, it may just come back to the exact same conversation we were having, where the sets and the pieces are going to fall down to what's the best build, quote quote.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're just not going to have that diversity, especially when you need that Ring of Royal Grandeur to get to that set piece.
Yeah, you know, it makes me... Sorry, go ahead if someone was about to jump in.
No, I actually was just about to say, so like you guys were talking about before the all legendary set, well then that then becomes possible. If an all legendary set happens, then you don't have to wear a Ring of Royal Grandeur and you get other options.
Right, oh yeah,
I
guess that's...
get around that.
That's true too.
Leviathan or Nineball, did you read my email last week about what if they just changed where the set bonuses are? You know, so that the best is at 4 and the second best is at 6.
I did see that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was an interesting solution to the problem too. Yeah, I mean, I feel like...
So it's still not bad if you have 6, but you don't need
You don't need it, yeah. You don't have to go that high.
Yeah, I liked the, you know, this is a conversation yet to come. What we were talking about in the roundtable discussion was, you know, making more of a focus on 4-piece sets than 6-piece sets, and then breaking out some of those set bonuses as off-piece items. But, you know, the general theme is the same, you know, making it to where the set isn't taking up, you know, half of your gear slots.
Right. Yeah, it's really interesting to me too when they say like, oh, we want to take the classic sets and turn them into strong sets with the 6 pieces. But in a way, I feel like they would almost be better redesigned, but stay having like 4-piece or even 5-piece bonuses. Just because something like Sun Wukong, I feel like is a really good set because you get to wear so many other things with it, you know? It still provides a ton of power, but it also allows you to have some diversity within wearing that set still, because then you can choose to wear certain helms or certain bracers or whatever, and they're not locked into, oh, well, you know, I have to have my Ring of Royal Grandeur and then wear, you know, make choices or something like that. You still get to make a lot of choices even without the Ring of Royal Grandeur. But something I wanted to kind of consider when we talk about diversity and we talk about having there be more than one available best option, something I like to think about actually is Hearthstone, and the fact that that game kind of changes as the meta changes. And when I say meta, I mean like what players are finding to be like the strongest deck at the time. Because it's a little different, because what happens is that you get decks that, so like let's say control decks, really slow decks, are going to be kind of the call of the day. That's what everyone's playing and having success with. Then some, you know, player who really wants to get ahead and wants to stop losing to those decks will popularize a really aggressive deck, and they're fast and they get their minions out quicker, and they beat those control decks that are waiting for more of that late game before they get to their really strong point. And in some kind of way, you can twist that to the iterative process and like the way that items are getting introduced with seasons and patches, because basically like there's going to be, you know, a strongest class per season. Like last season was arguably, but probably not that arguably, the Demon Hunter. And then when their set changed, they got better, and that, you know, maybe that wasn't exactly the intention, but they, you know, they were making changes to it to kind of equalize things. But now this patch, it's looking like everyone's going to be rolling with the monk, and that's going to be the one that's kind of the best for this season, and that's kind of the meta change or the shift. So like, even though maybe what they're doing is changed only slightly by the introduction of, you know, something like the Gungdo gear or a few pieces of gear or whatever, even though it's not that huge of a difference, it is still a shift, and you can kind of call it you know, a change to what's now best. And when you look at the metagame of which class is best, that definitely shifts a little bit, possibly. So maybe that's a different way to look at it, you know, from season to season, rather than like what's happening currently at all times.
See, the problem is, again, this is also in my book, I don't think that they have to balance the classes to each other after 35. Because as long as any class has the possibility of getting on the leaderboard for the conquest, I'm not really competing with you after that.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So from class to class, because obviously all the classes are going to be represented on that conquest for the 35.
It would be impossible to be like, okay, what's the highest that someone can get to? Okay, let's balance all classes against that. Oh, someone found some way to make it higher. Now we have to balance it against this higher difficulty.
Right. But I mean, I guess the way to combat that, though, is people do pay attention to some degree. Like when you're really either starting to get bored or really starting to get into it, you look at something like Diablo progress, and you can actually make like comparisons between classes and comparisons across the entire server, across the entire world even. So in that case, you still have some interest in there being parity between all the classes, because you want to be able to believe that your class can get to the top of the world leaderboard or something like that.
Okay, ultimately that would be nice, but the only way that can really happen is if they kind of homogenize all the classes, and, well, I don't want to play a Hoover monk.
That's fair.
I mean, there always is going to be some disparity in the power level between all the individual classes, but if you look at a game like WoW, the you know, it comes down to this, you know, like they want to get all the classes within like, you know, 5 to 10% of one another, because
yes, and by doing that, they gave classes spells that they didn't originally have to make them more like other classes.
No, I don't really think so.
I mean, it's not like they're all the same.
They all play very, very differently. You can't really say that in terms of WoW, with how, like, you just even, like, you pick 2 melee classes or pick 2 range classes. I mean, compared to what it was, they're far more diverse now than they have ever been in terms of playstyle.
Well, they actually, I was talking more about before this expansion, because they took out a lot of the parts where they didn't make sense by just giving classes things because other classes had them.
Yeah, but I mean, that we're talking about what the game is now and their philosophy. So it's like going through and trying to make a point of something that they did before isn't, not really quite valid. But it's you know, what it's going through and saying is just that, you know, they are looking to do something along the lines of like, you know, like 5 to 10% in between all the classes, and that's, you know, for the most part worked, because different classes do better on different bosses. Sure, people will go through and complain about, oh, well, this person, you know, sims better on the patchwork fight, but then you look at the actual DPS meters, and like everyone has kind of their time to shine. And that's just like one of the things that you could go through in Diablo, is just, you know, with the vast amount. Yeah, but I'm just talking about, you know, like
actual
in
PvP and actual PvE group content, raid content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's still something that people care about. They don't want to be playing the underpowered class. You know, they don't want to feel as if me going through and playing X class, I'm gimped because I do so much worse than everyone else.
I mean, I guess you can completely link that to some of the
I
QQ.
think if they, make them similar at Griff 35, that it's not going to really feel like any class is gimped.
I mean, but then you can run into a scenario where you have, you know, barbarians going through and hitting greater if 51, and then witch doctors struggling at 43. You know, it's one of those. It's just you have to, you know, kind of branch it out and make sure that they're able to perform not exactly the same, but close enough to one another. You know, if there's a disparity, say like 4 greater rift levels or something along those lines, that's a lot better than 9, and that's a lot better than what they were, you know, in season 1.
I think I can agree with that, because I think even at one point, I forget which dev said it, but they were talking about wanting there to be, like, I guess realizing that there would be a range of how close the classes would be to each other, but there being like an acceptable range for it. So, you know, it being
exactly,
you know, yeah. So it's like we want it to be maybe 2 to 3 levels of disparity between. Sorry, just doing some skill stuff between. You know, being at the highest top and the lowest low. You know, so that it's not so. Ooh, I got the Canes plan. Not so, I don't know, to exactly kind of what you said, to not have it be that feeling of, oh, my class is just like way too far behind, like I don't even want to play this.
Yeah, because I mean, it would be impossible to go through and make sure that they're all exactly equal. That you know, that one is, you know, the impossible dream. But making it so that they're a lot closer to one another than where they are standing, you know, at this point in time. You know, that I feel is a good goal to go and try to achieve.
I'm down with that. So, but can they?
Oh, of course they can. You know, it's just, though, unfortunately, for one of the things that we've seen with a lot of the developer conversation is just that it's not, you know, they've said, and some of the play your ways and such, that it's not a priority for them right now.
Right.
You know, they want to get the build diversity, so that way all classes have a couple of builds that they can play, and then they'll go back and look at actually, you know, making sure that everyone, you know, is, you know, within that like closer margin within one another. That's why Demon Hunters got buffed. You know, they wanted to give them a different play style without nerfing them, and so the Marauders change ends up giving one of the best classes, you know, an increase.
Because yeah, right. Could be just because of the priorities that you're talking about, yeah. And I guess that kind of harps on what was it, that point? Whoops, clicked on the wrong thing. That point where we were talking about what was it? Oh, how much importance the leaderboards play on making changes and things like that. It kind of directly ties into what you're saying, right? So yeah, I think.
And while that is important to people like us, I don't think that's important to the vast majority of the player base. I think the majority of the player base, you know, looks at the leaderboards and they're like, "Wow, I will never be there." And that's okay. You know, what is it? Wyatt told that story about the guy and his wife, where they made Greater Rift 30.
Right, that's true.
That was a big deal for them. That's what they set their goal to. Personally, I think that stories like that are awesome, but I don't think they're uncommon to us because that's not the Diablo we play in. But I don't think that's quite as uncommon as we might believe that is.
No, I think that makes sense. I was kind of happy to hear him say that they want to put less emphasis. Well, maybe not even less emphasis, but just other things besides, you know, greater rifts and leaderboards. Like, it's kind of tunnel visioned on that right now because that was the two of the biggest features and systems that came in with the last season. But it would be cool to see them find a way to celebrate goals that other people put out there, like achievements or like just hitting a certain greater rift. I don't even know if it could be something like the game asks you at the start of the season, like, what is your goal, you know? And then it tracks that goal for you somehow or some way, like in your seasonal achievement tab or something. Maybe a feat of strength or whatever. I don't know how cheesy that would be, but I'm sure they can come up with something like cooler. Still like a little printout certificate, like, you did it!
Well, and he did say that, and this is actually something I wanted to talk about, is that he said he wanted leaderboards to not be the major thing, but wanted other things. He wanted the game to celebrate your individual achievements. How would you guys like to see that implemented?
Hmm.
Oh. I guess that is kind of hard, I guess, to go through and say, you know, what is, you know, what would the devs be able to see as qualified achievements? You know, is it, you know, going through and just, you know, rewarding, oh, this is, you know, like the highest rift that you got or whatever, you know, or, you know, something that you managed to get X number of achievement points, or, you know, something along those lines.
Right. I guess it depends. Yeah, it really depends on what they consider to be worthy, and then also what you as a player consider to be worthy too, because those two goals have to meet. And I think for a majority of us sitting here, a big part of that is leaderboard progression and getting up on those conquests and things like that. So I think for us, those things are already in the game, but we have to think globally in terms of, okay, well, our needs are satisfied, but what could they do for other players who aren't seeing kind of their hopes and dreams represented?
There's some
Are we talking about achievements or personal goals?
Well, that's the interesting question. You know, is it something maybe you could set into the game that you could legitimately put into the game and say, okay, I set a goal of greater if 25. And when you get there, not that the game gives you anything for that, but the game celebrates that achievement with you. Like, hey, way to go, great job. You know, you get a little post or something goes out to your friends that you made your goal or whatever. Just something, it wouldn't have to be anything elaborate, but I just think it would be cool if the game did celebrate it in a more
flashy way.
Open way. Yeah.
There's some strength gear there on the ground.
Oh, cool. Take a look. I've been totally salvaging other stuff. My bad. So maybe that's something we'll see them develop coming in one of the next seasons or so, on their radar, as the famous phrase was.
Yeah, and we'll see. I would like to see them do things. I think they usually have some pretty cool ideas. So I'd like to see what they have. But
oh, game, you would do that to me, wouldn't you?
What did you get?
A Royal Grandeur?
I got them the scepter.
Well, it's an upgrade.
Wait, what did you get? Did you actually get a Ring of Royal Grandeur?
Yeah.
I'd use it.
I got one this early in the season. Yes, I'm set.
Oh, right. What does this thing do? Poison Nova? Alright, that should be interesting. Alright, let's see. Are we on to the next game? I think so.
I think so.
Little Luck, what's going on, man? Just looking in the chat here for a sec. 9ball is not streaming. Oh, you said that already.
Very good, sir.
Hey, I try.
It needed reiterating.
Yes. Not streaming. Super not streaming. Going back to you, Thib. Anything else from your notes?
The only other thing that I kind of wanted to talk about besides like individual goals, like what we wanted to do, was the trial.
Realm of Trials?
Yeah, the trial discussion that they had in the round table.
Hmm.
So
yeah, go for it.
Basically what they said was that, you know, we want a way that people can not have to start at 0, which I didn't realize that's the way it was. That would totally suck. So Realm of Trials is 1,000 times better than that idea.
Agreed.
So props to them for that, for recognizing during the PTR that was not fun. And also the group piece is a very good point. When they said, "Oh no."
What's going on?
Oh.
And another death.
Oh no.
Ah.
Lunatic died.
Lunatic, no.
No.
It's too soon. He was so young.
Sorry, buddy. I think that I think for the group piece, it's a very valid point. I think I didn't even consider that because I don't grade a rift with puppies.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've done that once and will not do it again. So for me, I didn't consider that. I think that's a great point. I think that again, it is better than what it could have been. But as far as he gave the and he even called it a terrible analogy when he gave it, but he gave the riding the roller coaster ride analogy.
Mm-hmm. Like you don't measure.
Like, hey, I've already been on this ride. You don't need to do that again. I think if they just went, okay, here's your greatest rift. You can just pick any of these in a solo, but I don't know. I
think they should do
so
5. Like once you pass 5, you can then choose 0 or 5. And then once you pass 10 or 0, 5 or 1, 5 or 10.
I really like that. That one I think is
a good
pretty.
idea.
Yeah.
See, I like it and I don't like it at the same time, because what happens when you get to 40 and like you're clearing a 40, but some of it is due to getting the right rift and some of it is due to getting the right rift guardian and whatnot. So like there's no guarantees that you're clearing that 40 every time. And then maybe you do when you get up to a 41 and you clear that, but now you can only go back to 40. Like unless you can go ahead.
No, I meant you can choose.
Yeah, that's what I got from it.
Oh, you mean
Once
like
you
0
pass 5,
through 5?
You can choose 1 or 5. Once you pass 10, you can choose 1, 5, or 10.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's what I'm saying though. So like once my progression gets to a point where, like, let's say again using 40 as the example, if I'm on the leaderboard and I need to clear 43 to move up, but I haven't cleared 45 yet, my choice is still only 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. But I can't choose a 43.
You don't think being able to choose a 40 is much better than trying to get a 41 in the trials?
Mm-hmm.
For some classes, I don't know. I can only speak to the Crusader, but like Crusader has a good way to generate their own keys that are usually around what you can do. But I definitely understand that it's a problem, like for some classes, that their build is good for the greater rifts, but maybe not so good for generating the keys for those greater rifts. But I think you're creating a solution that doesn't necessarily help everyone.
Well, and it also wouldn't help. The trial doesn't help everybody with every build either, the way it's currently set up. So like last season, Blaze's Wizard had over 100% damage to elites.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's awesome when you're in a rift. When you're in the trial, that's a huge part of your gear up that you're not getting credit for.
That's true. Did we lose Lalo?
You did. Am I still alive?
You are still alive.
Yes.
Yay!
You are living.
And you are safely disconnected now.
Good. I mean, yeah, no, that's definitely a case, but I feel like you should gear differently when you're doing the trials and when you're doing... It's kind of like you wouldn't gear the same way for doing bounties as you do greater rifts, Like you might use more speed-oriented stuff because you don't really need all that speed-oriented stuff when the density is what it is in greater rifts. So you're taking different skills, maybe you're using different gear.
How about then maybe something that you can pick a rift, but say like it is limited to 1 under your max.
So if I've done a 42, I can pick up to a 41.
Yeah.
I think that drop down will get a little cluttered once you get to 40s and 50s, which people are getting to.
That might be better only, I guess, if your only options are, you know, one trial or one under your highest.
Which will still suck if you're trying to level new gems.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially I keep considering the hardcore implications for those kind of things, because they were talking about, oh yeah, you could just do your max. I'm like, there's no way every time I did a Greater Rift last season, then I wanted it to be a 35. Like that would have been crazy.
Right. No, I definitely agree with that. I don't know though. When we talk about it's gonna be over here. When we talk about doing
chest over here.
Big chest.
Oh, cool. I'm coming then. When we talk about doing something that has like a cluttered UI, I kind of look at leveling up the legendary gems, for instance, and I say, well, that UI is a disaster. And maybe that's not to say that they shouldn't fix that too, but it's like, if that's going to be the way it is right now, then I'm not against them having a huge drop down list of it's just a scrolling list of Greater Rifts that you can pick from. I don't know. It's going to be tough to satisfy all parties, I feel like. But it definitely needs to change. It definitely does need to change.
Yeah. Wasn't one of the comments that they made in connection to that was just they want to add more than just Greater Rifts, to put less of a focus on trials?
Did they say that? I could see that. Was that maybe that was a tie-in to the thing with the story that Thib was talking about, where that couple wasn't really concerned about like the Greater Rift type stuff, or was that on a different point?
I don't recall that point. Of course, I didn't listen to the complete end of the table talk.
Mm-hmm.
I did twice. I don't remember that.
Yeah, what you talking about, Nightball?
I just remember at one point they were talking about how they want to put less of a focus on Greater Rifts and give other things to measure, like your progression throughout the season.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, that.
Then, yeah, I think...
The way you worded it before, it kind of wasn't...
Yeah, so...
That's
right.
So then, yeah, that is just a continuation of the other idea that we were talking about before. I mean, I think one of the things that I would have liked to have seen touched on more is just like what their purpose is behind seasons. Like what exactly is it supposed to do for them, for players? And what I mean by that is, is it supposed to be something that ends up being self-sustainable so they can walk away, maybe not walk away from the game, but lower their attention that they paid to the game so that they can work on other things, maybe an expansion, whatever, and just leave us to our own devices with the reset every now and again? Like, is it supposed to be a content delivery method so that we're always getting new things coming in with seasons? Is it supposed to be the competitive aspect? Like, I want to know, like, what is it there for and what's the most important part of it? And then I would like to see them definitively state that and then like proceed to make it such, because I feel like right now it's kind of all over the place, and because it doesn't have like a set purpose, it's kind of trying to do a little bit of all of that stuff. Then we don't ever really feel like, okay, like what are we supposed to be getting out of this?
Mm-hmm. That would be good. They did talk, and this kind of, I don't want to derail this, but I did want to add it in there. They did talk about giving each of the different play styles their due. So what do we use adventure mode for? What do we use Greater Rifts for? What do we use Rifts for? I think knowing that for all of those things would be nice as well. Even include seasons in there. They didn't say that for the piece, but
but just making sure like everything has like a directed purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense because we know, like, okay, adventure mode, we're going there for farming, and that's where we're going to be able to most efficiently attain the best items and build up to the best builds, etc., etc. Story mode is where you want to go to get the story, and maybe you can do, like, a certain conquest there or whatever. That's kind of what that will stand in for. Greater Rifts are going to be where you target your upper limit of what your gear that you've accumulated can do, and what you need to go back and farm and improve on and stuff like that. So I feel like everything kind of does have a purpose, but they just need to be pushed to like the limit of their purpose.
Real quick pro tip on anybody who cares: this Enter the Cave of the Moon clan. If all you do is follow the road in this map, you will always get close enough to see the yellow arrow.
True story.
So you don't need to run off into the woods.
Pro tip.
Useful information for your everyday life.
Right.
Was that from All That?
That is from All That, sir.
Yes. Classic show. Oh, I got another, I forgot we hit level 30 and wasn't even using another passive. Let's see. I know, right? Noobing it up.
The efficiency, man.
I know, I'm so bad.
The efficiency.
My brain just can't do the multitask. Can't handle it. They're calling for you to stream more, 9ball.
I see that. I while we're doing the show, the way that unfortunately the way that the setup works is I cannot share my camera if I'm streaming. So
right, yes.
Yeah, I would be, sir, not appearing in this film if I were to go through and do that.
I think, but I was just kind of saying, like, maybe in the future, you could do some streams.
I actually do plan on going and hitting up my stream once we're done with the quote unquote official show here, and go on to just the stream on its own, right?
Mm-hmm. That would be cool. Starting to get some legendary plans.
Yeah, I got the Canes shortly after you did, and the Umbral Oath.
Very nice. I think that's what I just got Unending War.
I got a mighty.
Oh,
lucky
sweet.
you!
It's all out right there.
Yeah.
Take that for my non-existent barb. Alright, so we're at like an hour 40-ish into what we're deeming the official, unofficial show here. Were there any other topics, either from the tavern takeover, from the tavern talk, or just in general that we wanted to hit before we kind of close things up?
I had one more if you guys don't.
You were on it. I realized I should have written stuff down because I forgot how hard it is to think while streaming.
Actually, this isn't about the tavern talk. The one more I got is, what are your personal goals for the season?
Oh, right on. Good call. Let's do it in alphabetical order.
Sweet.
So Lala's first.
Well, I got 34 last season, so I'm hoping to get top 10.
In ranks.
Where else?
Well, I mean, people could be like, oh, she got to... Actually, that wouldn't make any sense. I was going to say people are like, oh, rank or Greater Rift 34, so now you want Greater Rift 10. Makes sense.
No, I got to Greater Rift 39. I just got to number 34 on the leaderboard.
Yes, I was asking you to make a more definite statement. It's a thing we do in the legal world sometimes. But yes, I was just mostly just joshing with you. Word. Top 10. Okay. I like it.
So
First
is that
solo
it?
monks, hardcore. Any other goals?
Not die too many times.
A valiant
Less
goal.
deaths than last season.
I like it.
An
And
honorable
what
goal.
number would that be?
I had 3 monk deaths and a wizard death.
Okay, so total we're shooting the under for at 4.
Under 4.
All right.
What's the over under on this one?
I'm not giving you good odds.
Ooh, so
Well,
mean.
seeing how the
so
last
mean.
day I tried to kill my monk, I wasn't good at either.
Yeah. But then again, you know, it's you're pushing for that top 10, so more than likely it's gonna happen.
Right. The greater the reward, the higher the risk. Let's see. For myself, I want to, now that hopefully we'll have a fully whole season that won't change in the middle of it, I will be playing right up until the very end, and I would like to see top 3 Crusader for hardcore. I would like top 100 for groups 2 and 3 and 4. And top 100 for Barb. I plan to play a Barb at some point this season.
Cool. I didn't ask, but do you guys have any Paragon goals? Lala and Leviathan?
You can go first, Ian, Lala.
Not really. I'll probably get up there just trying to get top 10.
True.
You know, unless I'm extremely lucky, which I never am. So.
So there will be
Although
grinding.
I did get a furnace.
Is it true?
Still no Blade of Prophecy, but I got a furnace.
I swear it's harder to get the friggin' blade. But anyways, yeah. Not gonna get salty. Not gonna get salty. For me, I would like to. I think it's gonna be tough to surpass whatever I got last time. I think it was like 722 or something like that. So I would just like to get into the 700s again, which should happen with enough gameplay.
Cool.
9ball, you're next on the alphabetical list.
For me, I guess my biggest thing that I want to do is the conquest for the lore book achievement is, you know, one of the big things that I'm going for. I also my other goal is I would like to try and devote a little bit more time this season to Diablo through the entire way, and potentially get top 100 for Witch Doctor. See if I can actually come through with that one. And my Paragon level goal this last season was 300, and even though this one's supposed to be shorter, supposedly, I and to like go in line with actually trying to put more of a focus on it this season, and so my goal is 400.
There you go.
Cool.
And
Yeah, I'd like to see Paragon 400 again. I think for me that's a good point. I would like to actually finish the season completely anciented out.
Ooh, I like that goal.
I don't know if I'll be able to, but I would like to. And also, I want to be on all 4 of the boards, as far as Wizard goes. So, like I did with Monk, I want to be in the top 25 with solo, and then working in increments of 25 up to 2, 3, 4 player rift.
Word.
So, kind of high goals, but yeah. If you don't give yourself something to shoot for.
Yep.
Right.
The problem isn't that we shoot too high and miss; it's that we shoot too or aim too low.
And then what? Yeah. No, I think our goals all sound doable in terms of... actually, you know what? I'll just be really intrigued to see the level of competition this time around, because obviously a lot of people play softcore, and we're all playing hardcore, which I think was noted, but if not, then it's out there now. And I think that it's really... I feel like it's really interesting. People like protect their territory, and like when you talk to the softcore players, they're like, oh, hardcore's not as competitive because like not everyone's playing it, so you just like rank up higher or whatever because there's not as many people on it. But at the same time, like a lot of people are dying, and you can also die too, so it actually is a little bit harder, in quotes. I don't know. It's so hard to talk about because you don't like want to offend anyone. and their mode. But
Oh, offend the casuals.
there it is. He said it, not me. But I'll be curious to see how, because I feel like a lot of people got intrigued by hardcore just because of seasons last season. So I'm curious how many people are going to stick with it, how many people are actually going to convert and come over again, and what that will mean for ranking up and hitting some of these goals.
Yeah, I didn't. I'd really never played hardcore until last season.
And what made you choose to do that?
Actually, the podcast. You guys kept talking about hardcore, and then the season came up, and the season was about, I think, a month in by the time I decided, you know, this hardcore thing sounds like I'd give it a try. And plus, today it's only season, so if I suck too bad, I could just leave, right?
Right.
Not have to worry about it. So it was kind of an intriguing piece for me. I actually don't like the idea of hardcore. I don't like the idea that you can just in an instant erase everything I've done up to this point. That part has never sat well with me, but being that it's a season and it's kind of I see it as a competition, I'm okay with it.
So would you be one of those people that would like to see a hardcore character die and convert to a softcore character?
Dex ring over there.
I'd like the option to set it that way. Like, once the character dies, to then at that point make the emotional decision, no, this character is dead, or to go on. Because there are a couple of characters, like the characters I lost at the end of the season when I lost my monk pushing 39. I wouldn't have wanted her back. I wanted her dead. That was the way it was supposed to be.
That's one way of putting it.
Right.
Well, after the stream, I'll get on my monk soapbox. I don't want to taint your stream with that.
Fair enough. Oh, sweet. I thought I got the bracers, the sanguinary van bracers. But I got the, what's this one? The Custarian wrist guards. Yo, I'm about to pass all you guys in experience now. Suck it.
I don my wizard hat and robe. That one's for you, Thib.
Can't pick up stuff that comes out of
that's right. It's BOP. Ah, look at that.
Yeah.
Womp.
Well, do you want the? I would offer you the fiery brimstone, but I can't give you that either.
No.
Yep.
Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
Sorry, not sorry.
You're welcome.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Alright, on to the next game. I guess with that, maybe that's a good place to close up the official stream. We're hour 47, I think, last I checked the time. But I do want to take a moment to thank our special guests, Lala and Thibbledorf, for stopping by and hanging out with us. This is a lot of fun, actually, just having all the different opinions and voices all at once. And thank you, of course, as always, for everyone tuning in to the West March Workshop. You catch us here live most Wednesdays, except for last Wednesday, at twitch.tv/Leviathan111. You can tweet at us at the official Twitter account, which is the WM Workshop. Oh, I should let you guys plug yourselves. Lala or Thibbledorf, do you have any places where people can reach you if they decide that you were just the coolest bee's knees after this podcast and now they want to become fans?
Don't all talk at once now.
I am. If you want to hang with me, you join BlizzPro Clan and say hi in chat, and we are in.
There it is.
What, 5 or 6 spots still left in clan?
Yeah, so you have to be really cool to get in.
That's right.
Or have to
Only
kick
the
someone.
coolest kids. No, I don't. I'm one of those people that don't have any of those things.
I can't believe that you're not on Twitter. It like blew my mind when I asked you.
Not on Twitter. I'm not on Facebook. I don't even know what Pinterest is.
That's when you can kind of skip on, unless you're planning your wedding.
I'm old. I don't know. I got nothing.
It's too funny. Lala, how about yourself? Do you want anyone to find you at any of your places?
I just use those places to stalk people. I don't actually post anything.
So she will find you. You will not find her. Word.
Now I want to find her.
It's possible. I found her.
I'm following you on Twitter.
Ooh, there you go.
Oh.
There's an email conversation you might be interested in at the West March Workshop email there, Mr. Nineball. For hints.
Oh, was that her?
Maybe. I don't know. Was it?
Dun dun dun.
Find out next time on West March Workshop. What else? If you
same Diablo channel.
Right. If you would like to find myself individually, again, I'm here on this stream sometimes. Well, next week I'll be streaming quite a bit because I don't have to work. Yay! So I'll be booting this thing up most days. Leviathan, or sorry, SA Stewart 111 on Twitter. And Nineball, how about yourself?
I am at Nineball Gamer.
And you planning to do some streaming perhaps on your channel?
Yeah, at least tonight. My first stream of 2015, yeah.
Woo. And what's your stream?
Twitch.tv/Nineball.
Nice and simple.
Yep. I would be Nineball on Twitter, but that is taken by somebody else.
I can't believe someone else wanted to be Nineball.
Yeah, it's actually the same on YouTube. There's someone else on YouTube that uses the name Nineball.
What kind of videos do they make?
None.
They're just one of those stalkers.
Yeah, it's just there. It exists.
You should see if you can do a hostile takeover.
Yeah, go through. I'm suing you for stealing the name.
Well, technically, you took it from somewhere else, right?
Not this spelling, though. The meaning. They're the what's the word?
Etymology?
Yeah,
Maybe?
I guess that would be where a proper term to describe it, but the I'm at a loss of words right now. Yeah.
Words are hard, okay?
The meaning behind it, yes, it is taken from someplace else, but the spelling is different.
Gotcha. Interesting, but so that's weird though that there's someone else who also spelled it like you did.
Yes.
It was me.
It was you.
I admit it.
It was you from 6 years ago.
Before I even knew you.
Yeah.
Wow. That's next level planning right there, folks.
That is, man.
Next level trolling, man. I'm dedicated to the cause. Dedicated to the cause.